Luke from 4294 Productions, and today I'm proud to unveil a brand new video. This is my experience about the Heber Valley Railroad. Now, in September of 2020, while the world was slowly reopening, our family decided to go to Utah for a little getaway. In Heber City, there is the Heber Creeper, and me and my mom decided to visit the Heber Creeper in order to get a little train fix. So, what is the Heber Creeper? First, we need to back up. So what is the Heber Valley Railroad? Well, the Heber Valley Railroad was a branch line that was owned by the Denver and Rio Grande Western. It was built in 1899, and it was a pretty successful branch up until the 1960s, when it began to drain the Denver and Rio Grande's resources. By the 1960s, the branch was becoming very unprofitable, and the Rio Grande decided to cut the line in half. This essentially created a 16-mile gap between Heber City and Provo Canyon. It wasn't until many years later in the 1970s that the state of Utah decided to revitalize the place and give it a new look. Thus, the Heber Valley Tourist Railroad was born. Several locomotives came here, such as Union Pacific 618, and the railroad now runs between Heber City before stopping at the line where the Denver and Rio Grande cut it off. Weirdly, the line is two separate areas, two different sections of track not connected, but it is still one railroad. So, let's jump into my experience. It is around 6:15 p.m. when we arrive at the Heber City Depot. This depot was constructed in 2002 in preparation for the '02 Olympics held in Salt Lake City. As we walked around, we noticed that there was a lot of posters and banners of 618. Now, let me actually back up for a second. 618 was supposed to be running this year. However, due to various complications with its mechanical problems, they had to sideline it yet again. This has almost been the fourth year in a row where they have said that 618 would come back, but it hasn't. But hey, I'm going to cut the museum a little bit of slack because restoring a steam locomotive is not easy. Just ask the Western Maryland Railroad. I decided to walk around for a bit, taking several photos of the Heber Valley's equipment. So here is a couple of my favorite. After snapping some more pictures, the safety director, or in this case the sheriff, ushered us toward the lawn to discuss safety on the railroad.
Alright, can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Alright, on behalf of the Heber Valley Railroad, I'd like to welcome you all out today. Like I said, I got a little safety talk I got to give you before we board the train.
And then this happened.
Whoa! Hold that thing down. Whoa, boy, easy now! Yeah. You okay?
Hey! Whoa. You scared the stick out of my horse.
I thought you were taking the stick scaring, huh? You're gonna have to clean that up, you know. We got an ordinance in this town against leaving litter like that.
I ain't touching that. You cleaned it up.
Oh, yeah? I heard you got the scoop on that. Hey, what's wrong with that animal anyways?
Well, he just got a cold, that's all.
Cold, you say?
Yeah, he's just a little horse. Don't talk about it. You're gonna give him a complex.
Well, yeah, it's getting complex
Hey,
already.
there, boy.
You boys been harassing these people here? No. Well, what you got in that?
Boo!
Tell her I didn't tell her nothing.
Hey, Leo, you're crack showing there.
What are you showing?
Oh, you
Tell us about that.
Yeah, what the? Hey, no,
Doc!
I ain't gonna waste around on that. No, really, what you got there in that teller bag? Lunch. Your lunch, you say?
It's just his lunch.
You believe that, folks? He got his lunch in there?
No!
Hey, quit the
I got one more.
After that little conundrum, we got on the train and we purchased a ticket for the 360-degree car. Now I know what some of you are thinking. Wait a minute, this isn't 360 degrees, this is a Pullman passenger car. And you'd be right. However, the difference here is that the windows have actually been taken off. They call it 360 degrees because Heber does not have the open-air passenger cars like at Roaring Camp. So what they call 360 degrees is your ability to peek your head, camera, or anywhere out the window. Thank you.
Right here. Can we ask you to just leave your mask on until everyone's on scene, and then you're free to take them off. Once we get going, that's a concessions menu for you. We'll explain more throughout your ride. Yeah, if you have any questions or concerns.
At 8 o'clock, the Heber Creeper began to move. Here was my view from the 360-degree passenger car. This car was actually bought a month earlier by the Heber Valley. It was bought from Canada, and they took out all the windows so they could have a 360-degree car. Normally, before the pandemic, you can go between cars. However, because we live in an age with COVID-19, they don't allow that. However, you'll see a special trip here in just a second. The crew at the Heber Valley Railroad was very nice, and they allowed me to walk just one car on the train, and that car was their highest luxury. While the 360-degree car was the highest in price, this one was the most luxurious in my opinion. After thanking the attendant and promptly walking back to my car, I then took in some more views of the reservoir nearby as the train continued to snake its way along the mountainside. As mentioned before, the Heber Valley Railroad has a 16-mile gap between Heber City and Provo Canyon. So, at least for the Monday night trains, they have to stop at the switchback, or junction. This is so the GP9 can switch from the front of the train to the back of the train and haul it the rest of the way home.
You guys gonna play for us?
Yes, we are. All right.
One of my very favorite aspects about this trip were 4 kids who looked to be in ages between 13 and 14 went on the train to play violin. As the train was switching from the front to the back, this was my favorite tune. After the kids were done with their violin songs, the train turned around, coupled up, and we promptly started to head back to Heber City. They also had the option of snacks, so I decided to get a Kit Kat bar on the way back. After 25 minutes of the train on the way back, we finally rolled into Heber City.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Thanks so much. It's nice talking to you.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. Best of luck.
When we walked into the merchandise shop, there was a ton of memorabilia and merchandise available, such as toy trains, 618 merchandise, and a ton of Heber Valley Railroad stuff. I should also mention that I donated a little bit to the 618 Restoration Fund. In the end though, I decided to purchase a 618 t-shirt, a Southern Pacific 4449 pin, along with a Heber Valley Railroad pin. After we were done shopping, we headed to our car on the 25-minute ride home to Park City, Utah. But not before stopping by the famous Dairy Queen. So, what is my verdict of the Heber Valley Railroad? Well, it has a fantastic scenery and it has amazing equipment along with a great passenger fleet. I would head back to Heber City anytime in a heartbeat. However, I would like to see 618 run in the not too distant future. To the people that run the Heber Valley Railroad, you run an excellent railroad. I am a guaranteed customer that will return not too far down the line.